blastmusic247.com. We're changing the industry, one artist at a time.
What's up, people? Welcome to the Sayless show and happy Tuesday. Hope your day has been well. Okay. I don't even remember if I did a show last week. That's the sad part about it. It's just been so much going on, but I'm back after the holidays. So I hope everybody Thanksgiving was well. So we're just going to start off here because we got a lot to dig into and tackle with this wonderful guests that we have here today. So, of course, I'm going to start off with our motivational quote. I try to always base it around the topic. So we're going to be more than likely with me and this chica, we're going to be going back and forth with a lot of stuff. But I'm just going to start off with the base part. That what we're supposed to be talking about. So rebuilding your credit is proof that you're choosing stability over struggle and future over frustration. Okay, I'm gonna say it again. Rebuilding your credit is proof that you're choosing stability over struggle and future over frustration. Don't chase perfect credit, chase better habits. The score will follow. Okay. So that's what we have with that. I'm going to go into my drink of the night. It's pretty nasty because I realized that I poured whiskey and not bourbon. But tonight, my choice of beverage is just a nice glass of eggnog. Okay, a nice glass of eggnog here with Black Label. Okay. Didn't realize that I was pouring whiskey, and it just really goes better with bourbon. All right. So, but I poured it. We don't waste alcohol. I'm going to drink it. And that's just that. All right. So let's not wait anymore. Let me allow this beautiful person to introduce herself to the show, and then we're going to shoot out from there.
Well, thank you, Ms. Miko, for having me. My name is Veronica Lockett, and I show up in spaces as an attorney, a realtor, a social work, a mom, a sister, a daughter, a friend. I've lived the full spectrum of housing instability. I have what unofficially worked on credit matters for the last couple of years. And then more recently, started assisting people with credit repair. Although I call it credit advocacy because I'm an attorney, and I do it as an attorney. And so my goal is to assist individuals, particularly single mothers with children, helping them gain stability through either purchasing a home, or finding a rental that suits their needs.
Yes. It's another saying for jack of all trades. I don't want to say jack of all trades, so sometimes it's just crazy, but she wears many hats. Okay. And just to give a little history on us, we go back to our babies being in middle school. And we were the PTA crew. Okay. And we used to do that. You know what I mean? We used to do that. So that's where we go and shoot. What was that? What year was that? Like, I don't even remember. You went black. I don't know what happened. But anyway, we go back to our babies being in middle school. She might have to come back in. There you go.
Man, I just lost the volume, Miko.
You can't hear me?
No.
What happened? Well, you know, this platform is not formal. So let's figure it out. We got time. You want to log back out and log back in?
Okay, he said, okay.
VP's probably doing something in the background because he the man. Jump out and jump back in. In the meanwhile, guys, I found my glasses. I found my spectacles, y'all. I just was lost without them for almost 3 weeks now, and I just could not find them. I searched high and low, and I could not find my glasses. And they were in my armrest. And I promise you, I looked in that armrest. I know I did. But they were sitting right there. I looked in there today, and they were sitting right there. But you know what? My card said that I was gonna find something that I had been looking for. I was gonna find it, and so my cards told the truth. They never failed me to begin with. So yeah. But while we wait, I really hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Hope everybody's getting ready for Christmas. And can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. We ain't on Foxpo. So as I was saying, yes, we go back with the kiddos in PTA. So you know, we all kind of everybody kind of ventured out. Of course, you know, when your babies graduate, you know, everybody kind of go their own, ways or whatever. And Veronica left on up out of here and hightailed it out of Dallas. So yeah, so she's based in Austin. So of course, I know she's going to go into her real estate, but if anyone's looking for a realtor in the Austin area, she's definitely the person to link up with, you know, when it comes to that. So what you want to start on? You want to start on our stories, your story, credit, wherever you want to start, we can start.
So I just kind of thought I would tell a little bit of story kind of about how I come into it, right? So
yes,
I said I don't step into real estate from privilege, right? I grew up in foster care. I went to prison. I got out. I struggled with stability, right? Because coming out of prison, new convictions, you're not finding anywhere to rent. It's difficult finding a job. And so I lived with family. I lived in hotels. I lived in shelters. I even went through a program called St. Louis House here in Austin. They assisted me during my pregnancy. So during my pregnancy, I was considered homeless, although St. Louis House ran apartment style supportive housing. So I was allowed to live in an apartment that they furnished when I was able to put furniture with me. At the beginning of my time at St. Louis House, my rent was $0, and then it slowly increased to $20 and then $50 a month. That was manageable.
Yeah.
I then transitioned to public housing in downtown Austin. I think that the city of Austin understood that I was going to Texas State. I needed a location to a bus. And so I would get up every morning with Rainey. Rainey's my daughter, so I would get up every morning with Rainey. We'd get up at 4 a.m. I'd walk to the bus stop with her. I'd take daycare, and from daycare, I would ride the city bus downtown, and I would get on the Texas State bus that went from Austin to San Marcos, and that's how we did it. Some days I got out of school at 8, 9, because I also worked on campus. Friends and family would pick Rainey up from daycare, and they would keep her until I got out of class. Eventually, Rainey transitioned to daycare on campus with me, so sometimes that meant that we walked home together at nighttime. Funny story, she's always had issues moving her bowels, and so she was put on Miralax. And so we were walking from downtown Austin to the apartment, and she shat on me. So I stripped her naked and covered her in my coat, and we finished our trek on to the house. So those were my struggles during times when I really had to rely on the community around me
Yeah.
and ensure that I could build a future for me, so that for not just me, but for my child, so that I could become more stable for her. So
Yeah.
that's my beginning, my beginning struggle with housing.
Yeah.
As a as,
And it's so inspiring because you know, we hear the stories and we think, or we know our stories, and we think, you know, like, oh, I just, you know, I had it rough and this was rough. And it's not until you hear other stories and you're like, wow, you know what I mean? I know I had it rough, but it's one of those instances where you say could have been worse,
mm-hmm.
you know, because everybody's story is different.
Yeah,
But I'm just super proud of you because, you know, some of that I knew, and you're where you are today. And that takes a strong person, and you never gave up.
right,
Never.
right. Well,
Yeah. Yeah. So, did you get a phone call?
Rain called me.
Oh, okay.
I told you that I was going to be doing this podcast at 6. Don't call me. Call somebody else.
Okay. So, credit. And we know that we hear a lot about this being realtors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Credit.
Oh,
So,
credit. I guess, let me speak from my experience. So coming out of prison, I had credit issues. I believe that I might have had a credit card that went negative while I was in prison. And so coming out of prison, you have to deal with that. Criminal history shows up on credit, so that makes it harder to get a job.
mm-hmm.
I had a broken lease from when I was in college. That showed up on my credit. And so that began my journey for learning how to deal with credit issues. Fortunately, I was able to, because of the reason why I went to prison, I was in a very abusive relationship, and I talk about this often, where I think at the time that I was with this individual, you didn't have a whole lot of laws in the books about domestic violence. And so um, I feel like I was mislabeled. I feel like if we had the laws on the books that we have today, if we would have had them then, I definitely believe that I would have been seen and viewed differently. But nonetheless, while in that relationship, I was able to stay in a domestic violence center while I was with that individual. And because of that stay, I was able to get a hold of a letter from the shelter to be able to submit to the credit bureaus and explain that due to domestic violence, I was not able to live out the terms of my lease. And so handling that situation kind of made me feel really empowered.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so my next deal was to handle the credit card that was on my credit at the time. There were some charges on that credit card that I couldn't have made because I was in prison. And so I was able to use the release letter that I received from TDCJ when I was released. I was able to turn that letter in to the credit bureaus and say these charges don't belong to me. And then sometimes you just have to think about credit strategically, right? Because you said don't chase this credit card, chase habit. And so I think back then the strategy for me was to just wait it out.
Yeah.
Typically, dings fall off your credit, bad debt falls off your credit within 7 years.
Yeah.
So my goal was to just learn more about financial stability.
Yeah.
And so at St. Louis House, they offered a class on financial stability, building wealth. They required us to go through a program where we learned how to budget our money. And I live by those same principles today. So, like you said, build habits, right? So that was a habit that I built, which was learning how to be better with money. And so I think as we segue into talking about credit, a lot of individuals, at least in the short time that I've been working with clients who have credit blemishes.
It's Tuesday. It's just Tuesday. She'll be back. She'll be back. I don't know, VP. I know you hear me in the background. I don't know if she put it on Do Not Disturb, because that must be phone calls coming in when it blacks out like that. But anyway, if anybody's in the Dallas area, I'm having my pajama bowling party on the 13th at 7 p.m. in Arlington. If you want to come out, that's another announcement that I need to make and update. Yeah. And sometimes if you're watching the show, sometimes if you're commenting, sometimes for whatever reason, we can't see it. So please know that you're not being ignored. My daughter, I know one time she was logged into her YouTube and she was commenting on stuff and I never seen it. So just know that if you are trying to comment or chime in with comments, you're not being ignored. It's just that sometimes it comes through, sometimes it doesn't. But welcome back.
Thank you. What was I saying? So I think that what I have seen is that a number of my clients live beyond their means, right? Sometimes it's out of necessity. Other times it might just be because they want like the latest fashions and things like that. And so the conversation then becomes, you got into this situation because of XYZ. Here's how we're going to work you out of this situation. So I do some credit disputing. My goal is never credit dispute. First of all, it's not about trying to get out of paying the debt. Credit disputing is making sure that whoever claims to own that debt has the legal authority to collect on that debt. So that if you pay someone to try to, for whatever reason, either to try to get a positive rating on your credit report, to ask for a pay for deletion, which credit bureaus and third-party creditors and original creditors don't necessarily like that language, but if you're trying to get a pay for deletion, you want to make sure that when you pay that money, that person has the authority to agree to whatever terms you're asking for. And then it becomes a conversation about how to better utilize your resources so that you're not overextending yourself. Mm-hmm. So I see a lot of misuse of credit cards. I see a lot of personal loans being taken out. I think Klarna and Affirm, I think that they're great tools and resources, but I think if they are used by individuals who are not savvy in terms of finances, I definitely have seen situations where individuals are falling behind payments, even though they're small. So you just have to be careful. And another thing I wanted to bring up is, um, since I have started doing this, our phones, computers, they listen in. And so I've noticed that I am starting to see more videos, reels, if you will, TikTok, about these um, credit hacks, right?
It's a lot of them.
Yeah, yeah. And my philosophy is there's not a credit hack, right? Like, um, credit is messed up either because you were not good with finances, your identity was stolen. Um, those are the only two things I can think of, right? And so you either owe the debt, but the debtor can't properly validate, or your identity was stolen. And so there's a whole nother route to go down to, um, I'm going to get rid of the debt. I've seen a lot of TikTok videos, a lot of reels about the Consumer Protection Bureau, and the bureau the bureau can delete credit. They cannot delete trade lines off your credit. Like, it doesn't work like that. Typically, you go to the bureau for, say, you disputed an item with a creditor. The creditor has agreed to whatever terms you offered. You paid the funds. The trade line is still reporting on your credit. You've reached out to the credit bureaus. The credit bureaus have not removed the credit trade line. CPB is your next step, right? To say, hey, can you reach out to these credit bureaus to figure out why this is still on my credit? And then you submit your evidence as to why credit. And then typically, you can get a positive response out of that. But CPB, they don't delete trade lines.
Yeah.
So those are kind of some things that I wanted to touch on. I do think that credit is important when you're trying to purchase a home. Credit is important when you're trying to lease and you want to be in a decent neighborhood, right? And working with some of my lessees, we are having conversations about lower credit scores, say like your 580s. Yes, you can get an FHA loan with a 580 credit score, but you're gonna have a really high interest rate.
Yeah, it's not recommended.
Yeah. And so, when you are working with your mortgage lender, and that credit conversation does come up, you want to make sure that you have the ability to go into negotiations. And when I say ability, I'm talking about money, right? Because at the end of the day, you're gonna pay something. Trade lines don't just get erased like that. So you're gonna pay something.
Absolutely.
And if you want a decent interest rate when you're trying to purchase, you want to try to have as high a credit score as possible, even if you're looking at government-backed loans, because at the end of the day, we're talking about a 30-year mortgage.
Yeah. Yep.
So those are my soapbox issues. Those are kind of the tips that I get into it with clients who, well, why can't you just, girl?
It's not that easy.
I'm not Harry Potter. I love him, but I'm not him.
Yeah. One of the things that I think you kind of touched on, and that was for trade lines, but I know that a lot of people ask, if you pay something off, whether or not you can negotiate it being totally removed, because I know in some situations, depending on who the creditor is, they don't remove it, but they do show paid in full.
So that is an option. So pay for deletion. So I've had to become creative with my language. But pay for deletion,
I like that one too.
are typically not seen as what am I trying to say? They're not seen as accurate credit reportings, right? So if I pay you to delete my negative trade line and then you delete it just based off the fact that I paid, well, that's not really accurate, because at the end of the day, yeah, this debt went bad. The debt went bad. I paid it in full, but it still existed, right? And so when you delete it from my credit report, some other creditors see it as deceiving, right? That's not to say that it don't still happen. It still happens, right?
Yeah.
You just got to get creative with the language, and I'm not going to talk about my creative language.
Right.
You just got to get creative with the language. So yes, there is a way to negotiate and maybe get that trade line improved. That's what I'll say.
Okay. Because I explained to a lot of prospective clients that, a lot of stuff that unless you're thoroughly going through your actual credit report that's directly from the bureau, you know what I'm saying? Directly from Equifax, directly from Experience, directly from TransUnion, not basing it off of Credit Karma or anything else. A lot of times I tell, well, not a lot of times, I have to tell them all the time that lenders use a totally different system. So sometimes there's things that may be on your report that you don't see, but when they go behind the scenes, they see it.
Ghost accounts, for instance. So you're on let's say you are a cosigner on an account that went bad, right? It may not show up on your credit when you pull from TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, but when the mortgage lender pulls, they're going to find it.
Correct.
So I wouldn't even co-sign for my daughter.
Correct.
And that's my daughter. That's my blood. I want her to do well. I want my son to do well, but I'm not putting my name on a credit application.
Correct.
One, I don't want to be held responsible for your debt. Two, I don't want your poor decisions to impact my ability to live my life.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, mortgage companies, they do use different systems. They often go with that middle score, depending upon what that middle score is based on. If you're working with a credit repair company or an attorney like myself who does credit stuff, then if you're looking to buy, you definitely want to link up with a lender who can do a soft pull and get those scores and those accounts for you so that a credit plan can actually be put
into place. Absolutely. And I always say that, and, people come to me, and I know we're getting ready to go into our mid break in a few here, but people, I always tell, like, when I get the phone calls and they're like, oh, I just don't know. And I always say, look, because I have an in-house lender, as well with a few others. But my preferred lender that I use, I always say, you don't know what's going on until you get with the lender. So stop assuming that I don't qualify or this or this or that, because there's been a lot of people that said, oh, I know I don't. The lender go do a soft pull and like, whoa, you qualify.
Yeah.
All you need to do is this. So it doesn't hurt to have a lender pull a soft pull, see where you are, and if they'll automatically know a yay or nay, and then give you an action plan and say, hey, if you clean this up, you do this, in 6 months, you can come back and for a fact you'll be qualified. As long as you do not
open up any new
purchasing nothing, opening no credit cards and buying cars and
Yeah. Quit your job, open up new bank accounts.
Just don't do none of that, okay? But other than that, it's like I tell them, get the plan. Because if you truly want to be a homeowner, you're going to put the work in. You know, I didn't become a homeowner for the first time until I was 45.
Yeah.
And I put the work in. Mm-hmm. Because I used to do credit repair, I did my own, but it took me about 7 months.
Yeah. Even when you're working with, you know, a credit repair company and attorney, oftentimes it can take that long, right? Because, say, for instance, I've got a client I'm working on right now. I have creditors who didn't respond at all, right? I've gone the 30 days. And so then I send a follow-up letter to let them know I am now moving on to the credit bureau because you didn't respond to me. And here's what my expectations are going to be moving forward after this account, right? And sometimes that lack of response is because they can't validate, right? It's hard to know, to really know what validation looks like in Texas. And forgive me, I have braces, so I slur a little bit. So it's hard to know what validation looks like in Texas because in doing my research, I didn't find very much case law, right? I was able to find 2 or 3 really good cases that I often rely on when I'm writing my letters. But those cases rely on other circuits, right? Mm-hmm. Cases are relying on other circuits. It's just a little persuasive, right? But since it's in Fifth Circuit and we're in Fifth Circuit, since it's in Fifth Circuit jurisdiction, it becomes it becomes a primary source for us, something that is binding. So I think when you're working in credit, when you're trying to work on your credit score, if you don't know what you're doing, find somebody that knows what you're doing. Absolutely. I'm not here to bash anybody. If you're going to go to a credit repair agency, make sure that they're not sending out generic letters, right? Make sure that the letters are tailored specifically to your situation. Yeah.
And we're going to pause right there so VP can bring in the artist of the day, night, week, because that I want to talk about.
Okay.
As far as the those agencies.
Okay.
All right. I appreciate this information. This is good stuff. So tonight we have, her name is Taya L. And this is called Don't Love You. Let's check it out.
I know you're telling me you need me, but I done heard it many times before. Broken hearts ain't easy. They're playing all my insecurities for sure. Now everything seems like a lie, and I just can't get it out of my head. My friends telling me I gotta try. Baby, I want to, but my heart won't let me love you. Love you. Love you. Trust when I say I want you, my heart isn't there. Love you. Love you. Love you. It's not you, it's all me. Nobody can get in. I've been scarred too many times. Every promise leaves a bitter taste. You're asking me for all my heart, but there is nothing left to give away. I wish the pain wouldn't let me fly. These wings are broken. You say you wait, but I don't know why. Myself feel lost, I feel like I'm losing. Love you. No me deja. Love you. Es que no puedo. Love you. And trust when I say I want to, my heart isn't there. Love you. It won't let me. Love you. It's not you, it's all me. Nobody can algún día seré libre, pero ahora amar se siente como un pecado.
And that was Taya L with Don't Love You. And if you are an independent artist or a spoken word poet or up and coming comedian looking for some exposure, you can go to blastmusic247.com and register for free. But Blast is also looking for the fans. So if you're a fan of great music, you too can go to blastmusic247.com, register as an unlimited fan, and get access to hundreds of independent music. Blast. We are constantly changing the industry one artist at a time. All right, ladies, back to you.
Thanks, VP. So what I had to ask was, sorry, I never took the little thingy things off my phone. You know when you get a replacement phone, they got that little, and I like peeling stuff. Did you used to put white glue, rub it in your hands, and just sit there and let it dry and peel it? But anyway, so those agencies, like I told you when we had spoke, there's so many mixed reviews about that, right? You know, I even consider, you know, I have small debt, but debt is debt, right? And thought about using, what is it, National? And read the reviews. It's one of those things where you just, how do you even know if they're doing the work? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because some of the reviews were based off of that. Like you had some people saying, you know, I don't even know if they sent a letter. I haven't gotten any type of activity. It's been 6 months. The people are still contacting me. You know, the debtor's saying that they haven't received a payment, you still owe. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, are y'all really doing the work, or are you just collecting the monthly fee that you charge individuals?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not here to bash nobody, so I don't know what them folks do.
Not at all. It's just real, it's real.
Yeah. No, I hear you. So recently I was in DC. I went to DC for the National Consumer Law Conference because I was quitting my good old stable job with the county as I make my recovery on my left shoulder. I decided that, you know, I wanted to do something that didn't feel like it drained me emotionally, but still allowed me to help people. And so the National Consumer Law group showed up in my email box. I don't know how, but they did. And so they were having a conference in DC, and I decided to go. It was a conference full of a whole bunch of lawyers who work in the field of consumer law. Mind blowing. I really didn't know how much stuff is considered consumer law. But I attended a lot of the Fair Credit Reporting Act seminars and the Federal Debt Practices Collection Act seminars, right? One of the things that I kept hearing was, when you're working with someone on resolving credit matters, make them mail the letter, right? So if you draft, then you send the letter to the client and make the client mail the letter. Give them the instruction to do that. The only time I should be mailing the letter is if the client just don't have follow through, right? Or if the client is really just too busy and they tell you, you want to know what, I'm too busy for this. I know that you're going to do it, right? One of the practices that they talked about was providing the client a copy of the certified return receipt that you get.
The certified, yeah.
The receipt that you get from the post office when you mail it off.
Yeah.
So with some clients, you know, if they don't have a whole lot of trade lines for me to work on, then I may forward them the letter and say, hey, this is the letter that I sent to this company, so that they'll have a copy of it, right? So that they know that I'm actually doing the work. So I don't know what a lot of credit repair agencies do. I think another way of knowing whether or not they're actually doing the work is you should see, I want to say this. Hold on, let me back up. I got too many thoughts going on. One of the ways to know whether or not they're actually doing the work is you're going to get notifications from the credit bureaus if they're disputing with the credit bureaus that that they opened up a dispute. If the credit advocate is disputing directly with either the original creditor or the third party creditor, under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, that company is required to report to the credit bureau that they received a dispute about that trade line. So those are ways that you can know. What I have noticed on credit reports is you're able to see the number of times that the trade line has been disputed. So that's another way to know whether or not the creditor is doing the work. Oftentimes, if it's the first time that a trade line has been disputed, you'll see the trade line get removed from the account, right? So that's another way to know whether or not the creditor or the credit advocate is actually doing the work.
Right.
What else?
That's it, and that's it. And I think a lot of those reviews had a lot to do with individuals not being educated on it. You know what I mean? So it's just like, okay, you don't know how it works, so you feel like nothing's being done, versus someone who's did their work. They kind of know what happens. They just don't have the time to do it. So let me pay these people to do it, type of thing. So, but yeah, I know that's a big thing. So one more thing on credit, you get a lot of people who say, some people say, oh, leave this on here and just let it fall off. Because it's going to fall off in 7 years. Or if it's been sitting on there because this was before I did credit repair, and I knew, because that's how I was. I was like, well, shoot, it's the 5th year. I'm going to wait 2 more years, because of course, if you touch it, it renews itself as if it's new. So that was a lot. That is a question that's always asked. Like, should I leave it? Should I touch it?
It's a caveat. So in Texas, the finance code, so Texas has a lot of protections when it comes to consumers and credit. The first thing is, under the Texas finance code, once an account goes delinquent, a third party creditor has 4 years to try to sue you on it, right? Once you get past that 4 years, they can't sue you on it. I don't care if you called them 4 years and 2 minutes past the statute of limitations and said, that's my debt, I'm ready to pay. They can't sue you on it, right? The other caveat is, and I use it as a negotiation strategy. If you're beyond the statute of limitations for you to sue the person, that's a negotiation tactic for me. That's motivation for you to negotiate with me. You either want to get some money or not get any money, right? Because if you've been sitting on this person's credit for 4 years, what makes you think they're not going to let it sit for another 3 years, right? And if I'm coming to you saying that the person is disputing it, then let you know that, to me, that should be like a ding, 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 right? Like, this person is trying to do something. So that gives the consumer reason to negotiate. So now we both have a reason to negotiate, right? When you say that it reactivates it, that is true. What happens is, on the credit report, if you reach out to the creditor and you claim that debt, right? You say, this is my debt. then yes, it does reactivate the report, or it can reactivate the reporting. It just depends on whether or not the creditor is willing to go through them extra steps or not.
Correct.
So whenever I think that whenever an individual, a consumer, is ready to dispute debt, again, there's some magic words, right? And those magic words are I am basically disputing this debt, and I'm disputing this debt. This is not me accepting it. This is not me saying it is my debt. This is not me saying this is not my debt. But I need for you to send me and then the Federal Debt Collection Practices Act and the Federal Credit Reporting Act lay out the items that have to go in a dispute letter. So
that's the letters that I use.
Yeah. So you can dispute a debt without claiming it, right? Yeah. You can dispute it without claiming it. I think that, do you let it stay on your credit? I think it depends on how it's reporting, right? So if the debt is actively reporting and it's been on your credit for 4 years, do you let it sit another 3 years? No. I think that you try to negotiate, because you need to stop those active reportings, right? If the debt has been sitting for 4 years and there's no reporting, you may just not mess with it, right? Because it's not helping you, but it's not hurting you either, right?
Correct. Especially if you're not looking to make any big purchases or anything like that anytime soon.
Yeah. So I think it just really depends on what you're trying to do. I also think it depends on what other things you have on your credit, right? Like, and so I don't ever look at trade lines in silos. I look at how it's impacting the credit, right? Yeah. And then I think to myself, okay, which one do we tackle first, right? And so because I am always thinking about the person first, the question is always, what kind of money do you have? Like, what do you have money that you can send to these credit bureaus to try to resolve this debt? What's the most that you can pay, right? And if the most you can pay is, let's say you owe, let's say you owe $900, right? And the most you can pay is $350 and the credit is 4 or 5 years old. Okay, well, let's go in with $150, right? Or whatever 40% of that is, right? And I may even go lower than 40%, because if it's an old debt that's not reporting on the credit and you only have a couple of more years, then let's go low and see what the debtor is willing to accept, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And half the time, because something is better than nothing.
Right.
So tell the people about your advocacy program, how they can sign up, what it is.
So when I was first starting this out, I had a little special. But if your goal is to purchase a home, right? And I let me back up. So I do want to say that leasing is not a failure. Renting is not a failure. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do because that's what the situation calls for.
Absolutely.
But if you're in a position to buy and you want to buy, and you're wanting to work with me as a realtor, then we can talk about what fees would look like for me to work on credit for you. Yeah, I do it as an attorney. I send out letters on the attorney letterhead. It is, working on credit is a partnership, right? So it's a partnership between you and I. It's, your credit is not a me thing, it's a you thing, right? I have zero patience for lack of follow through. If you come to me and you say, I want you to help me.
Help me help you.
I expect for you to help me help you, right?
Absolutely.
Responded to. I don't want to be arguing about, and I say arguing, but right, that there's going to be some level of, Veronica, I just can't afford it, right? But come at me realistically. Don't expect for me to work miracles. I don't have a magic wand. Uh, I don't live at Hogwarts. Yeah.
Well,
So
they can't expect that from anyone, though. Even with those other agencies out there, there is no guarantee.
no guarantee, and I'll tell you that I can't guarantee you anything. All I can do is work on it. I can't guarantee you a timeline either, right?
It's
The
no
reality,
time.
I can't control what other people do. I can only control what I do, right? I can't
Right.
guarantee a timeline, but I can guarantee you that I'm going to follow the deadlines, right? And so whatever route the deadlines take, then that's the route we're going.
Yeah.
That's me. And then as a realtor, I'm still kind of learning, right? So I became licensed in June. I think I understand the contracts from the standpoint of being an attorney, but I'm not operating as an attorney when I'm operating as a realtor. I'm not your attorney. You're not gonna get no legal advice from me. I'm gonna tell you to go talk to an attorney, but that attorney cannot be me.
Correct.
Cannot be me. I can't play dual roles. My goal is, as a realtor, my goal is to try to find you your perfect property in one search. Two at the most, but in one search, right?
Yeah.
And so the brokerage that I'm with is real intentional about, and I'm with Realty Texas in Austin. And we're in Austin, we're in Dallas, we're in Houston, we're in San Antonio, but we have the ability to cover the whole state of Texas, right? So if you can't work with me, I can find you somebody on my team to work with. So I'm with Realty Texas, and so my goal, like I said, is to try to find you your perfect home within that one search. We'll start with a mortgage lender first, because again, I'm not going to waste my time spinning wheels, looking at things that you likely don't qualify for.
Correct.
I'm not going to have a situation where you fall in love with the house and then it's not something that you can actually afford. So we'll always start with the mortgage lender first. We'll start with the soft pull. I'm very big and keen on single women with children, even single men with children, right? Like, I get the struggle, right? I'm interested in the individuals, the underdog, the people who really just don't understand the process and really are looking to own a home and don't think that they have the ability to do that. I've got a great mortgage lender that I work with. She's at Cinti Mortgage. She's very knowledgeable about federal funded programs. She's very knowledgeable about the state funded programs. And her goal is the same as mine, which is to help the lower income individuals, the people who have the difficult credit. So the hard people who are looking to get into home ownership.
Yeah, the ones with little challenges going on.
And so I don't know. It's been fun. It's been a journey.
It ain't for the weak.
Huh?
It ain't for the weak.
It is not for the weak. No, it's not. I had some realizations last week, and I said, "Whoo, child! I pay more in fees as a realtor than I do as a damn attorney." So,
and people don't realize that. They think that realtors are so rich, and oh my God, because not failing to realize that whether we sell, help somebody buy, whatever, we still got monthly, quarterly, and annual fees. Yeah. As a matter of fact, the NAR fees are due December 31st. So regardless of, if or not, we still have fees to pay. Yeah. And then when we do get our compensations, we have to split
with the brokerage.
With our brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's all said and you go home with your little check, it cracks me up how people think that, you got no. Now I can say that if I go ahead and close on $1 million home,
Yeah. Yeah.
No, at the end of the day, but one of my things too, and I'm piggybacking on what you said earlier. Like I'm so transparent with my clients. I don't sugarcoat. And if that means I got to lose the deal because I'm being honest, then I'll just lose the deal, because I don't believe in anybody being house poor.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You have some realtors out there that just don't care, or agents, because there is a difference. That just don't care. All they care about is being compensated. I don't care if they move in here and they ain't got food for the next. That's not me.
Yeah.
If you can't afford it, I'm gonna tell you can afford it.
Yeah, and I would hope that the mortgage lender has the same thought process too, right?
A lot of them don't.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is I vet my person. I ask those hard questions.
Absolutely.
Because if I'm connecting myself to you, I want to make sure that our values and our work ethics align. So just be careful, folks, while you're out there. You know, you got crooked attorneys, you got crooked realtors too. I'm just saying.
Do you? Okay, because I know they sick of me, because you know before my Sayless, I was your realtor in sneakers, and I know like a lot of people know my story, but a whole person sold me my house and license was suspended.
Oh dang!
So like I say, the folks that know my story know my story. The feds was knocking on my door 2 years later. So you got to know your people. I always tell people, it is okay to ask, an agent for their license number, and you can go on Trek and put that license number in and check them out to make sure that they are legit. And at that time, unfortunately, I was unaware because I was a first-time home buyer. I was not a realtor at that time. So it was actually an actual first-time home buyer experience. So I was clueless and I was led off of whatever my agent was telling me. So I always tell people when I have my first-time home buyer seminars, ask that agent for their license number and go ahead and plug it in and look it up, because it's public.
And then just thinking about another way to ensure that you are dealing with someone who actually has a license is they should have an IABS, right? Like every realtor, whenever you're interacting with a potential buyer, potential seller, you are required to provide that IABS, which is the information about broker services, right? And so that's going to have the realtor's name, the realtor's contact information, the realtor's license. It's going to have the name of the broker. It's going to have the broker's license, the broker's information.
And your manager, your RSM.
Right. And so if, as a first-time home buyer, and I know you didn't know this, Miko, but I think it's great to, because you didn't know that, I think it's great to provide the education. That document is helpful for if you're having issues with your realtor or you have concerns with your realtor. You reach out to that broker, that brokerage, that supervisor, that the head broker, and you let them know that you're having problems. And like Miko said, I think you ask questions, right? Like there's nothing wrong with asking questions. There's a lot of information. And even though I'm a licensed realtor, I don't know it all. There are days that I absolutely feel overwhelmed by how much information we're expected to know.
Oh my God, who are you telling?
Yeah, I'll be the first to tell you. I don't know, but
I mean, it's something new every day. It's something new every day. There's new forms. That's like we have some new forms going into effect in January. Like it's really, really, really a lot. I just always tell people to have a little compassion for us, because it might look simple. Oh, all they're doing is just going and driving around and No, we are not just doing that. It's so much going on in the background that you have no clue.
Yeah, like I can't send you my forms unless my broker approves it, right? Like there's a lot. There's a lot of, and I get why it is. I can't go unlock a house for you. And
I have had the biggest problem with that. Like I have someone in my Real Scout right now, and I can see her moving. I can see her liking and loving the properties that's being sent to her, automatically. I see her interaction in my Real Scout, But when she'll just out the blue say, hey, I want to go see this, and that. And it's just like, well, for one, we do have a life. For two, this is an hour away. Remember, we're putting out, not being guaranteed that we're going to get it back. Right. So if that means gas, fuel, marketing, whatever, paying for our super lock boxes, like we're putting out, not sure if we're going to get it back. And so the moment that I send, so now my operation is when you call me for something, I'm sending you the buyer's rep agreement.
There you go.
We're not talking nothing else about nothing else until you sign that. And so she was just, this client was, I've never heard of having to sign something just to go see a house. Well, you haven't went and looked at houses lately, sugar, because we are not allowed to open that door unless we have that buyer's rep agreement.
Yep.
Yeah. And people are pushing back on that a lot because, and I get it, it can be scary because it's a contract.
Yeah. And it says you owe me. You owe me. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So they some people understand, they're aware, they know, some people don't, but I just always say have some compassion for us.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
have some compassion for us. But I know we've reached our hour. Like I told y'all, we can go on forever. My computer about to die. We can go on. We can go on forever and talk. We always can do a part 2. Again, people, if you want to join into the show, I just send you the link. You jump in. So it was a beautiful time, and I appreciate you.
You're very welcome.
And did you want to tell them how they can contact you, or I can put it on my Sayless page?
You can put it on your Sayless page.
Okay. So I'll put the information. If you want to get in contact with Veronica, I'll put that information on my page. If you're interested in her services for credit advocacy, because it's important. And y'all, the way this world is rocking and rolling, baby, have your sugar honey iced tea together. Yeah. Have it together, because it's so undetermined. It's so unpredictable where we're going in this world, and you just want to be prepared because you never know. However, on the realtor sides of us, like I tell everybody, assets. Put yourself in a position to have assets. Land. It's going to be very important later on down the line without getting detailed. So it's great to generational wealth. We can get into that another show. Like, y'all, and I'm talking to myself too now. I'm talking to myself too. It's time to get it going, and it can be done. Like I always tell people, credit is repairable. It is not permanent. It is repairable. And if you just take your time, stay focused, and stay, what's the magic word? What word am I looking for right now? It's stay consistent and disciplined.
There you go.
That's the word I was looking for. Discipline. And it's rough and it's tough. But if you've been through things in life, such as myself, such as Veronica, because once again, I done told my story. I done lived out my car before. I done been there, done that. And when you get to a point in life where you've been able to be moved out of that, you're going to do everything in your power not to have to go back to that. Literally. You it's kind of like an automatic discipline, because it's like, oh shoot, I ain't going back there. Let me do what I got to do over here. And that's the mentality that we have to keep. And I know that at my tender golden years age, it gets more important to me every day.
Yeah.
So, but I appreciate you, and thank you guys for watching. Again, if you have any questions or anything like that, again, if you did have questions or you were commenting and we clearly didn't see it, we were not ignoring you. Sometimes the questions come through, sometimes they don't. But if you have any questions outside this show, feel free to ask me on the Sayless page, and I'll get it directed to Veronica, and I'll post her information tomorrow. And Veronica, I'm gonna call you tomorrow because we got some stuff to talk about.
Okay.
Okay. And to everybody else, have a beautiful and wonderful evening. Bye.
Hello.